Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'll talk about how the US tariff affects average people. Lately, there has been a lot of news about tariffs and trade tensions. High tariffs aren't new, they've happened many times in modern history. Governments often use them to strengthen their positions during negotiations. In this video, I'll explain how tariffs impact your everyday life, whether you live in countries that export goods or those that import them. But first, keep this in mind. Modern manufacturing is global. Many products are made using parts from multiple countries. So when one link in the supply chain breaks, it can cause prices to rise for consumers around the world, as we have seen during COVID. For exporting countries, if your country exports natural resources like oil, gas, or metals, you are dealing with global prices that are shaped by supply and demand. Governments of exporting countries can add resource tax whenever permitted. This would increase cost for companies that mine or drill for these resources. These countries usually have strong bargaining power. But if global demand drops because people or businesses are buying less, then producers and governments make less money. Many resource exporting nations rely on that income to fund their budgets and social welfare. So when revenues fall, they may have to cut public services or take on more debt. Now, if your country exports manufactured goods like clothing, electronics, or machinery, it's a different story. Manufacturers have less power because they rely on raw materials, machines, and labor. They are often squeezed by rising input costs and pressure from the buyers. If manufacturers try to absorb the extra cost, their profits shrink. That often leads to lower wages and layoffs. Some companies may even shut down if they cannot afford to keep operating. When that happens, their customers must find cheaper suppliers elsewhere or agree to pay more. This is why moving manufacturing back to the US is so complicated. I'll talk more about that at the end of this video, based on what I've seen across Asia and Europe. For importing countries, countries that import a lot can influence global prices by increasing or decreasing their demand. They usually do this through interest rate policies, which affect how much people can borrow and spend, or government spending. When the supply chain is disrupted, import prices rise. That causes inflation. If your country buys a lot of oil and gas from abroad, you've probably felt this during events like the Middle East conflict or the Russia-Ukraine war. Since 2019, the US has actually been a net exporter of oil, so it's in a better position to negotiate than before. But still, when inflation is driven by supply-side issues, rising interest rates often doesn't help much. This can lead to stagflation when the economy slows down but prices keep rising. People's income don't grow or even fall, so they cut back on non-essential spending. I've seen many economies spiral downward like this, even if they don't use the word stagflation in the news. A globally connected economy. The world economy is deeply connected. Every country produces something that someone else consumes. So when big importers like the US slow down, it affects producers everywhere. After the 2008 financial crisis, major economies had to work together to recover. That gives the US confidence during negotiations today. But this time, helping the US recover won't necessarily benefit the countries that rely on exports. Why manufacturing doesn't easily move between countries. Let's wrap up with why it's so hard to move manufacturing from one country to another. Manufacturing usually falls into two broad categories, labor intensive or machine intensive. In the first category, that would include clothing, shoes, and some electronics. In the second category, that will include semiconductor, car batteries, solar panels, and flat panel displays for your TVs. Surprisingly, even machine-heavy industries still need a large supply of highly skilled, hardworking labor force, and generally they don't make attractive returns for private sector investors. They require huge upfront investments. For example, many were shocked by the bankruptcy of Northvolt in Europe. These industries are tougher than they look. So why is it so hard to shift labor to other countries? It's all about the education system and government incentives. Success depends on having a workforce with the right mindsets and skills. not just university degrees, but also strong basic education and a culture of hard work. In low-wage industries, workers must be willing to do tough jobs for modest pay. But in countries with generous welfare systems, there's less motivation for people to take on physically demanding work for low wages. You can't force people to work in these industries for the long term. You need suitable policies and social systems to incentivize it. This is why moving manufacturing isn't just about cost, it's about culture, education, and long term social planning. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.